Shana Tova to everyone. My name is Adam Wasser. During the time of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we understand from Judaism that we should forgive people. And forgiveness, we should accept their forgiveness. We learn that the time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is a time where you let your pride go and you absorb yourself into the understanding of who you are, what you were, and where you're going in life. In Hasidic teaching, in Kabbalistic teaching, we learn that the soul, the neshama, when it comes down to this world, it's divided into 5 parts, but once it's inside us, once it is a part of our physical body, it's in 3 parts. One part is the animal soul, nefesh bahama. The other part is the godly soul, nefesh b'tov, and the intermediate soul. The intermediate soul is basically what you and I are. It's who I am talking right now. It's what comes out of me. On one side, the godly soul, on one side, the animal soul are battling between one another of what should the intermediate soul produce. But the intermediate soul is basically what decides to let out of the physical body. During the time of Yom Kippur, when we're fasting, when we're praying to God and asking for forgiveness, in many ways, and we don't even realize it, we're understanding ourselves. We're learning about ourselves. We have an idea of what our intermediate soul is, but the godly soul and the animal soul have that time of quiet time, of uplifting during Yom Kippur, which is mostly a solemn time, and we learn about ourselves. We uplift ourselves and you might not even understand that you're uplifting yourself, but you are, because you're listening to who you are, and you're thinking about who you are, and you're lowering yourself to a point that you can actually level yourself in who you are. Because many people have a lot of pride. Many people during Rosh Hashanah can't ask for forgiveness. They feel that there's nothing that they have to forgive. But Yom Kippur comes, and whether or not they understand that there is something that they need to forgive or change, they have that time to better understand both sides of themselves. Now let's go back. Yom Kippur being a time of forgiving people and taking forgiveness from other people. What does this do for us? You go and say, "Oh, I did wrong to you, please forgive me." That is the basic part of forgiving. But true forgiveness is when you take the effort, when you look for the person, when you do something to show them that you really are sorry for what you did. And when you forgive someone, just forgiving them might not be enough. You maybe invite them over for the Sabbath meal, the Shabbat meal, maybe give them a gift, or whatever it is to physically show. In Hasidus, in Jewish teaching, of Kabbalah teaching, we learn that a true mitzvah, a true good deed, is done through action, thought, and speech. Is that if you do a mitzvah, if you do a good deed through thought, you're thinking of this good deed, it's a mitzvah. If you do it through thought, a good deed, it's a good deed. If you do it through action, it's a good deed. But once you make a mitzvah, a good deed through action, speech, and thought, it becomes it becomes a true entity of a mitzvah. This is the true essence of Rosh Hashanah, is when you forgive someone and when you ask for forgiveness, not only through speech but through thought and action. It's a beautiful concept. It's a fantastic concept, and really, during this time we say, "Oh my gosh," excuse me. It is very nice, it's very beautiful. But once Rosh Hashanah is over, once Yom Kippur is over, we let it go. We move away from, and we go back to our regular life. That's why it's important that when you ask for forgiveness, or when you accept forgiveness, you do it through action, speech, and words. Because by doing through action, you're bringing it on, pushing it forward into another day. We all have the ability to change in our lives. We all have the ability to uplift ourselves in our lives. There is no ending story of our lives until we're dead and buried. Till the day you're dead, till the day you're buried, you have the opportunity to uplift yourself to a higher level. That's why in Judaism we learn that between the days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, if you need to ask for forgiveness to someone who is dead and buried, you can go to the cemetery with a quorum of 10 men and pray at the person's grave and ask for forgiveness. And this is the idea that Even though that person has passed away, you still have the opportunity to uplift yourself. You still have the opportunity to grow. Rosh Hashanah is a fantastic, my favorite holiday of all. There are a few New Years in the Jewish calendar. There's a New Year of the trees, Tu B'Shvat. There's a New Year of the kings. And then there's a New Year of Rosh Hashanah, the New Year of the people. This year is 5773, 2012. There are many things that are going around in the world right now. There are many situations that might next year bring us to, unfortunately, God forbid, a great war. Israel has many problems, and Iran is a threat with their building of nuclear weapons. We don't know what the next year will hold, but what we do know is that Hashem, God, the Lord in heaven, tells us that if we do mitzvahs, if we do right to one another, we can ultimately protect one another. We don't always have an ultimate solution to a problem. The world is not always in our hands that we can decide what it's going to be. Sometimes war is inevitable, and there's nothing we can do about it. But we do have the opportunity to do the best that we can, and to make the situation as good as it can be. Through mitzvahs, through doing good deeds, and helping one another, and giving charity, and working with one another, and communicating with one another, maybe we can prevent a war. Maybe we can prevent something that we think is inevitable. It's possible. But we have to try. Because if we don't try, then once it's done, how can we say, oh, we're going to go back and we're going to say, we could have done better. Because let's face it, most of us, we can say in our lives, oh, if I could go back 20 years, I might change this or that. And others might say, I won't change anything because it turned out good. But there are little things in life that we would like to change. Rosh Hashanah is that opportunity. Let's change what we need to change so that later on and in the future we don't go back and say, oh, maybe I would have liked to change that. Maybe it would have been better off if I did this. People that are married, Shalom Bayis. Husbands, pay attention to your wives. Wives, pay attention to your husbands. Work together. Take this opportunity and communicate with one another. This is a time of communication. This is a time of understanding. And even if the other side is not cooperating, at least you said that you tried. At least you gave an effort. Listen, nothing's perfect. There are perfect things in life. In general, nothing is perfect. And we do our best. But ultimately, we have to try. And that's what Rosh Hashanah is about. Trying. Not giving up. Yom Kippur, a time of atonement, a time of renewal, of will God forgive me? What's the new year going to be like? How can I better myself? But you know something? It's an old story that goes, the man who never gave charity, never gave tzedakah, never did anything good in his life, on his deathbed, begs God for forgiveness, and he's going to change, he's going to do tshuva, he's going to be a better person. And it's like, the angels say, well, why didn't you do that in the past? Why did you wait until your deathbed? This is the same thing. Rosh Hashanah comes before Yom Kippur because it's saying, do it now. Don't wait till the last minute. Do it now. Don't wait. God bless you all. Shana Tova to everyone. A Happy New Year. And never give up on yourself, and never give up on the people around you. God bless and take care.